The following program contains explicit American history. If you suffer from stupidity, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your revisionist historian.
Standing for truth in the four corners of America. Fighting for justice on the frontiers of the culture wars. And turning resistance into an art form. The only TV host arrested more times than Mahatma Gandhi, Randall Terry.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special edition of Randall Terry, the voice of resistance. It's turkey time. We're going to have a storytelling session with you. Moms, dads, boys and girls, gather around because we're going to tell the Pilgrim story like it's never been told before. Oh, get ready for a few twists and turns in the story that you might have missed along the way. Today's program brought to you in part by Toledo Cutlery. It's carving the lives out of turkeys for hundreds of years. And by tryptophan. Yes, if you've had a long, hard week and you need a good, solid nap, there's nothing like a solid injection of tryptophan. I'll be right back with the Thanksgiving story right after a good word from my good friend, Sir Reginald Lane. Just turn the thing on, I got something to say. Herman Cain, you have sinned. Oh yes, you have sinned, my brother, and now you are going to pay the price. Now, I'm not talking about some allegation about this woman or that woman. That's a sin, we all know that. I don't know what even happened, I wasn't there. The sin you have committed is that you are a black man running in a white man's club. You had the audacity to take on Mitt Romney and Rick Perry. You had the audacity to leave the Democratic plantation and to run as a conservative, pro-life Republican. Have you looked in the mirror lately? Have you seen the color of your skin? You are black, and the political racists and the political segregationists are going to beat you like they beat up Clarence Thomas. So I'm telling you right now, get ready to take your butt whooping because you have sinned against the big, powerful establishment. Whoa. Welcome to the special edition for Thanksgiving. Once upon a time, there were some people in England and Holland, and they were very sad. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. Bobby said to Susie, Susie, shall we leave and go for a new world? Susie said, well, yes, Bobby, let's go. How shall we fund it? Well, it was far, far away, and it was a risky journey. They needed resources. They didn't want to spend their own money, so what did they do? They went to the Small Business Administration for a loan, the SBA, yes. And they traveled across that mighty ocean. And when they arrived, what did they find? A howling wilderness. No place to live. No domiciles. They were terrified. Bobby, Susie, what shall we do? Go to HUD, the Housing and Urban Development part of the government, and get some prefab housing. So they lived in HUD housing. And they said, let's go to work. Let's create this wonderful home, carve it out of the wilderness. Children, gather round. We're going to make a home for ourselves. So they set off laboring in the fields, hoeing and plowing, and along came someone from Child Protective Services. How dare you? This is child labor. This is an outrage. Your children need to be educated properly. So, Bobby and Susie, being good parents, applied to the Department of Education for a one-room schoolhouse. The department got back to them and said, not on your life. We need a huge building and separate all the children by their age groups. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. And of course, as the children got older, the Department of Education was committed to giving them the best sexual education and the best resources in birth control. And a little aside, one of Bobby and Susie's girls got just a little too intimate with one of the boys at school and ended up pregnant. But don't worry, the school nurse whisked her away to an abortion mill where she killed her baby. Mommy and Daddy never knew about it, but they could never figure out why Susie had a substance abuse problem after that and began to overeat and got larger and larger and was drunk and high all the time. But that's another story. Their son, meanwhile, who was used to working with Daddy in the field, he was way too active for that government school, so they had to fix him. They gave him their own special concoction called Ritalin. Yes, Bobby and Susie's little boy was soon on Ritalin. He went into deep depression because of the ramifications on his system with this chemical. Later on, tragically, he took his life. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Daddy and Mommy, they're working hard, and Daddy is on a ladder working one day, and he falls. Well, OSHA comes along and says, this is an outrage. OSHA fined the company and ultimately drove them out of business. Daddy had no money for a doctor. What is a man to do? Susie, I don't know what to do. Well, you fool, go to Medicaid. That'll take care of you. Ah, that was the answer. He could go to Medicaid and have all of his medical bills taken care of. Well, on that boat, there were some older pilgrims. And when they got here, they got tired quickly. And frankly, they didn't want to work anymore. What did they do? What would any wise older person do? They'd go to Health and Human Services and apply for Social Security. So the old people got to sit around and smoke corn cob pipes while them younger people were out in the fields working for them. That's right, young whippersnapper, you keep it up. I gotta have food and gotta pay for this house over my head. Well, some of the older people got sick. And then they said, well, this ain't enough. Just a check every month to pay for my food and my housing ain't enough. I need medical assistance. I need Medicare. And so, being good workers, Bobby and Susie and all the other pilgrims pitched in so that Grandma and Grandpa, and total strangers for that matter, could have house and medical care. It was a grand time. The younger worked harder, longer hours, and frankly, they had to get 2 jobs. And so, one day Bobby's on his way to his second job, and what do you think happened? Yep, his wagon broke down. Darn it, Susie, my wagon done broke down. Now he's starting to talk like a hick. Ha! Sweetheart, all you need to do is go to the government and ask for cash for clunkers. Genius! Cash for clunkers. Now he's got a new wagon and a wagon payment. Well, crop failure came, followed by bad weather, damaged buildings. It was horrifying. What do you think they did? Yes, with all the courage that they could muster, they went to the Department of Agriculture and to FEMA to help bail them out. And they did. Well, one day they were having a lovely meal that they had gotten, a big piece of pork that the local butcher had chopped up for them on the wood block. But FDA came along and said to the butcher, how dare you cut meat on a wooden butcher block? You need stainless steel, you fool! And so the butcher, for fear of being put out of business, put in stainless steel everywhere. And he began to chop up the meat, and guess what happened then? An outbreak of E. coli. Because the enzymes that are in the wood that would destroy those little bacteria that are in certain meats, well, they were no longer active because he wasn't cutting on wood, he was cutting on stainless steel. Everyone in the town got sick, but they were obeying the government. They've got a new wagon, they've got a wagon payment, they've got a new house, they're taking care of all the old people, and now they need 3 jobs. When we come back from this break, I'll tell you what happened. It's a wonderful end to a wonderful story.
Randall just left for a vacation and has been amazed at the amount of highway construction taking place high in the air. Will we be needing control towers to handle the traffic in large cities? Maybe even to the point of having holding pattern loops during those times.
Hi, Joe Costello here, founder of Kylea Health and Energy. I've been making superb nutritional supplements for over 15 years, and from day one, I've partnered with Randall Terry, helping to fund his invaluable work in reclaiming our country's biblical and godly roots. I want to share with you a product that has changed hundreds of thousands of lives since its inception.
Introducing the Total Living Drinks, Greens and Berry, the ultimate superfood formulas that provide you the 9 essential areas of nutrition your body needs on a daily basis. Each serving of the Total Living Drink provides the life-giving phytonutrients that come from the equivalent of 5 servings of organic vegetables and berries, enzymes for better digestion and nutrient absorption, protein for building lean muscle mass so you can burn more fat for fuel, probiotics for better intestinal function, herbs for building energy and stamina, antioxidants for maximum immune function and disease prevention, and all the vitamins and minerals you need for slowing down aging and maximum health. You would have to take 30 to 40 capsules each day and spend almost $10 a day to match the over 30,000 milligrams of total nutrition in each scoop of the Total Living drink. Order right now and get started on the amazing Total Living drink. They come in 2 delicious flavors, Total Living Drink Greens and Total Living Drink Berry. And every single dollar we receive, we give a generous amount to Randall Terry's organization to help further his work and further the kingdom. Visit us online at the address on your screen and receive an online discount or call the toll-free number. Call today, and for the daily price of a latte, you can get back on the road to better health and energy with Kylea's Total Living drink.
Moments with Moses. The Lord will smite you with consumption, and with fever, inflammation and fiery heat, and with drought and mildew.
Welcome back to Storytime, friends. I've got the 2-minute warning. Well, Bobby and Susie are working hard on their 3 jobs. Bobby's 3rd job was on a farm. He was chugging away on the tractor, and along comes the EPA and says, bad farmer, your tractor has too many emissions. You need to buy some carbon credits from Cap and Trade. Well, at that point, the mule got sick, and PETA came along, and they created a union for the mules because they were being worked too hard. Well, at this point, Bobby and Susie are running flat out, and they fell behind in their mortgage. If we don't get a proper payment on our mortgage, we're going to be living under a tarp or something. I don't want to live under a tarp. And Susie said, why, you fool, of course you do. TARP, Troubled Assets and Relief Program. Go and get your neighbor's money to pay for your mortgage. And so they are now on the government system. Yeah, they're getting that government thing going. And finally, after they're totally exhausted, they met some really, really nice Indians. Yes, some of them were really good looking too. That Pocahontas, oh, she's so hot. Well, they didn't know what to do. They were beside themselves, and the Indians seemed to know the lay of the land. Pocahontas said, friend, come home and meet my daddy. They came home and they met Dad. The daddy Indian was a spectacular businessman who had a fabulous casino. Yes, Bobby and Suni were enticed by the free buffets. They went and they ate their fill. They and all their friends played. They played the machines, they played the card table, they played the dice, and they lost everything they had. So they applied for WIC and for food stamps. And they were so thankful that they gathered all the Indians together and they had a feast. They bought a turkey and they bought corn and pies with their food stamps. And there were special games. They watched the cowboys battle and kill those vile redskins. And they watched the lions mangle and devour the saints in the Ford Coliseum. And then they bowed their heads and they offered thanks to Uncle Sam for the bread and the circuses that made their lives so fulfilling in this brave new world. The end of the happy story. And there's a rabble-rouser who I'll introduce at the end of the show. This is harder than it looks.
Hi, Joe Costello here, founder of Kylea's Health and Energy. I want to share with you a product that has changed hundreds of thousands of lives.
Introducing the Total Living Drinks, Greens and Berry, the ultimate superfood formulas that provide you the 9 daily essential areas of nutrition your body needs. Each scoop provides the life-giving phytonutrients that come from the equivalent of 5 servings of organic vegetables and berries, probiotics for better intestinal function, antioxidants for disease prevention, and vitamins and minerals for establishing maximum health. Order now and get started on the Total Living Drink. When you do, a generous gift will go to Randall Terry's organization to help further his work and further the kingdom. Order online and receive an online discount or call the toll-free number. Call today and enjoy maximum health and energy.
Victory will never be found by taking the line of least resistance. Sir Winston Churchill. I do hope you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend, and I hope that what I just said to you gives you some food for thought. I did an interview recently with a pastor in Israel, and here is the third segment on our need to have righteous leaders in office who govern from a Judeo-Christian framework of ethics and policies. The interview.
Yeah, the splintering of the evangelical church is a problem, and the fact that there's this go-to-church mentality. You know, we're trying to tell people that the Christian faith isn't a Sunday go-to-morning, deal. This is everyday life. This is, you've got to follow after the plan and the purpose, the laws and what's right every moment, every day of our lives. We can't turn that on and off again, and that's what we're trying to convey to people. In fact, we're telling people, we're going as far to say that we're in another Reformation.
Well, the evangelical world could use Reformation.
And the Reformation I'm talking about, if you look to Martin Luther, you say, okay, here it is in a nutshell. They took the Bible from the pulpit, he put it in the hands of the people. You have the right to read it. It's your, I believe the Reformation that we're in right now is we got to take the ministry out of the pulpit and put it back in the hands of the people. Stop going to church and supporting the pastors. Stop saying, well, this is the church I support or the pastor I support. Ephesians 4. God called the leaders, the apostles, prophets, to equip the saints to do the works of ministry. And this is why we're telling people, you need to be involved in. See, what we've done in our churches in America and throughout the West is we've told people, oh, you've got a heart to be in politics. Oh, you shouldn't do that. It's evil. Well, so then we surrender the political field.
Right.
And this is what we get. Yeah. Or we could talk about the business mountain or the media mountain, the arts and entertainment. We could talk about any of these fields and say, we tell Christians, oh, you shouldn't be involved in that because it's not Christian. No, Christians, we're
not spiritual.
We're supposed to be out in the world, but not of it. We're supposed to be out there. So how can we be salt and light stored up in a little place?
Let me come back around to something you said for the sake of my listeners, or viewers rather, who I'm always trying to catechize and then put fire under their butt and get them out in the fight. The issue, it's twofold. One is you have the mentality of, you can be my hired gun. So people in the religious right have thrown money at organizations in D.C. and whatever, saying, oh, my duty before Jesus is to write a check. Here you go. Or they surrender to the pastor or the priest and say, well, he'll tell me what to do. So that's a problem. So your solution is people in the pew. You are all the body and hands. You're the hands and feet of Christ. You're the body of Christ. It's up to you to do and to say and to fight and to act. The issue becomes, and here's where the Protestant world gets into deep trouble, is personal revelation, personal absolution, personal determination of what that hierarchy is. So I'm totally in agreement with you that we need to get away from the hired gun mentality, but I believe in sacraments. There are some things that I can't do as a layman.
Sure.
And that's number one. And number two, that the average person in the pew, the evangelical pew, the Catholic pew for that matter, probably worse than the Catholic world, is not catechized to think in terms of ethics, philosophy, the laws of God. This is the hierarchy of good and evil. Why is it worse to kill someone than it is to steal from them? You've got Christians who will say to you, all sins are equal. Book of James says that if you've broken one commandment, you've broken them all. All sins are equal. No, all sins are not equal. They are not all equal, either in time or eternity. So my heart cry, the reason I do this show, the reason I've done these different series that we've given you, and I've got another one, you guys got to see it on TV, Taking Back the Gates, Christ's law in politics, education, and so forth, business. America is 75% baptized. 75% of this country, of our country, is baptized. 25% Roman Catholic, 50% non-Roman Catholic. And we're disintegrating.
Yeah.
We are disintegrating as a nation. And it's because we have not integrated our faith with the law of God.
Right.
It's the law of God that determines what is good and evil, right and wrong. And that's where my heart jumped for joy when Andrew said, you guys are trying to recruit 300 pastors. And it also sinks within me because...
You think, what does that look like?
Well, where did they go to school?
Right.
Who catechized them? How many of them have read Francis Schaeffer? How many of them read John Paul II? They might know their Bible backwards and forwards, but if they've never had anyone teach them how to rightly divide the word of truth, they're going to be a loose cannon off their firing.
Right. Well, I think that in a time of crisis, leaders arise. You know,
New
I think
leaders always rise,
yeah, I
whether
think a
they're
revolution-
whether
yeah.
they're Adolf Hitler or Winston Churchill. You're gonna get new leaders.
That's exactly right. And in a time of economic pain, just like you're saying, I look back at the Depression. You know, I warn America. Well, look what happened during the Depression. The whole world went in economic pain. It produced Hitler, it produced Stalin, it produced Mussolini. But it also
Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the massive
That's
government
exactly
that we
right.
have.
That's exactly right. But it also produced, it was Ronald Reagan that came up to that area. Not that he was a saint or he was a perfect image, but he had principles that were a far cry from the Mussolinis and the Hitlers of the world. It produced the Churchills. They were reared up in that and then stepped forward. The Revolutionary War, the Civil War, leaders arise in times of crisis.
Yep.
This is one of those times. The reason why I ran was because I knew, you know, in every generation there comes a time where you got to go, okay, we have to be willing to lay our ambitions aside. I don't want to run. I'm not a politician. You're not a politician.
Right.
We don't want to do this. It's not
Right.
what we want to do.
Right.
But there comes a time in history where it chooses you. You don't choose it. The men and the women of
Right.
the Civil War.
Duty demands.
World War
the
II.
dragon
Yeah.
lands on a field of battle
Yeah.
and kills
That's
the
it.
virgin, then you got to go fight.
We all get eaten,
Right.
or we fight to defend ourselves. Well, I believe we're in one of those moments globally. Nationally, yes. But there's something on globally. But America, I believe we're in one of those times. So I think Tony Perkins' vision is, okay, we need leaders to arise. We'll put out the call, and then we'll begin to talk with those that step forward and begin to vet and interview and have a discussion to see who will we stand with. I mean, we're not going to just stand
Do you
with
guys have a
anybody.
reading list yet?
No.
All right, I'm going to give you some off camera because there's some really good books out there that these guys need to read.
I've got books I would tell them to read, but as a group, we don't.
Yeah, I mean, the better that you have a cohesion, the stronger the group will be. Otherwise, it'll start to snap.
Mm-hmm.
It'll if it's not melted together, it's like poor metal, you know, like pig
Right.
metal versus really metal that's been really tried in the fire. Because you guys could do an awesome thing, or it could just be. I mean, look at the great movements. More majority, come and gone.
Yep.
Christian Coalition, come and gone.
Right.
Dr. Dobson's thing that he tried to do state by state, never even got off the ground that had any impact. D. James Kennedy thing, come and gone.
Right.
So, and the Tea Party's problem is right now, it's got no central leadership of any kind, but worse yet, it has no central philosophy.
Right.
You can't even get them to define, what does this really mean? What are you after policy-wise?
Yeah. Which is always true for true grassroots movements. They go through.
Well, they
that-
burn out fast then.
They go
If you
through.
don't
They
have-
either burn out or they develop.
Or they kill you.
I
A
don't-
grass fire can
Yeah.
burn your house down.
I generally call it the patriotic movement because there's so many. Like you got the 9/12, the Tea Party, but this move of patriotism that's going on in America. When I go and speak to these groups, which I do on a weekly basis, I tell them. First of all, you can't move economically. You can't do this based on economic conviction.
Good.
You got to come to a foundation that's sound, and I bring them back to the founding fathers. That's where I take them.
Good.
So I tell them, you're at a moment right now where either leaders are going to arise and take you where you need to go, that brings solidarity to that's strong and true, or this thing is going to fizzle because these people will wear you out.
You got it.
They will
All
wear
right,
you.
last word to Pastor Ombre. Look into that camera and tell the pastors that are watching, elders that are watching, laymen that are watching, why they should run for office as soon as that car goes. You may go on about your business now, sir.
You know, every church leader, every pastor needs to be praying and considering this very thing. That whether it's a school board, whether it's a mayor, whether it's county commissioner, whether it's a state senate or a state legislative position, or even whether it's the House of Representatives in the United States Congress, or to be a senator, or to run for president. We need leaders. This is a time where men like Frederick Muhlenberg had to step forward as pastors in American history and said, this is our time. If we're not going to be the leaders beyond the walls of our church, then are we fulfilling what God has called us to be? Pray. Think about who you are and what it is that God's called you to do, and have courage to stand and do it.
Pastor Ombre, thank you. It's a privilege.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor Liggett. I'll be right back, friends, with a barn burner quote from Sam Adams. This will make the hair stand up on the back of your Thanksgiving neck.
If the Lord had not been my help, my soul would soon have dwelt in the land of silence. When I thought, my foot slips, thy steadfast love, O Lord, held me up.
Joe Costello here, founder of Kailea Health and Energy. I want to share with you a product that has changed hundreds of thousands of lives.
Introducing the Total Living Drinks, Greens and Berry, the ultimate superfood formulas that provide you the 9 daily essential areas of nutrition your body needs. Each scoop provides the life-giving phytonutrients that come from the equivalent of 5 servings of organic vegetables and berries, probiotics for better intestinal function, antioxidants for disease prevention, and vitamins and minerals for establishing maximum health. Order now and get started on the Total Living Drink. When you do, a generous gift will go to Randall Terry's organization to help further his work and further the kingdom. Order online and receive an online discount or call the toll-free number. Call today and enjoy maximum health and energy.
Samuel Adams said, "If you love wealth greater than liberty, the tranquility of servitude greater than the animating contest for freedom, go home from us in peace. We seek not your counsel nor your arms. Crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you. May your chain set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen." Sam Adams, you're a jerk. I want to get every free thing I can from my government. That's why my forefathers came here, to get free stuff from the government. Uncle Sam, I love you.